By now, I'm pretty sure that everybody has heard that the Trump administration's unprecedented plans of releasing a stimulus refund check or a Doge dividend, we're still working on the name of it, is actually being worked on right now by Congress, both in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. So what initially started about 4 days ago as just an idea that was floated on X by CEO James Fishback has now moved up and through the process to the point where at this very moment Congress is working away on it. And the number one question that is on people's minds is, how do I get a Doge dividend check? How do I qualify for a stimulus refund check from the Trump administration? Well, in this video, I'm going to be covering for you the details that have come out literally from Mr. Fishback himself. I've got video footage and articles. And if you want to know when this is going to be arriving, I actually covered this for you yesterday, and we're going to be covering it in this video as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in and take a look at the latest headlines so you can see it for yourself. Could $5,000 Doge stimulus checks really happen? Here's what we know, and we're hearing the answer to this is yes. Doge checks of $5,000. Trump has backed the idea to send Americans some savings back. Now, what we're hearing is that right now Doge is going to be pulling back these misused funds and giving 20%, we're hearing, back to the American people in the form of a check. And like I said, we're going to be going through the details that we currently have at this time of who qualifies. Also, will you get a $5,000 Doge check? What to know about the Doge dividend idea? And also, as I mentioned, we're going to be hearing from the actual creator of this, and he says the Doge stimulus check, the creator came up with the plan in a dream. He said he had a dream about this, woke up from it, wrote it down, sent it out, and then it got into the hands of Elon Musk, who moved it up to President Donald Trump, who has now passed it on to Congress. And we're hearing as we speak, they are working on making this, bringing it to fruition. And here it is, you guys. This is the actual draft proposal that was put together by the CEO of Azoria, James Fishback. I'm going to be covering all the details for you so that way we can see everything that is listed out in this roughly 4 or 5 page outline of everything that's going to be included in what they are calling now stimulus refund checks for 2025 or Doge dividend checks. Whatever the case is, it is essentially the Doge Department of Government Efficiency looking throughout all of our federal government agencies, finding where there is misuse, potentially corruption, fraud, and they are taking money back, and they're saying they're going to take a small portion of that, 20%, and not just throw it at our national debt, but they're going to reallocate it to go back in the form of a check to the American people, to the taxpayers, saying, hey, we are sorry for the misuse and mismanagement of your funds. Here is a check back in goodwill and good faith from the federal government. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you are glad to hear this, put a yes in the comments. And take a second and hit that like button for me. And again, also, if you appreciate these updates where I'm going to be sharing with you the latest video footage, articles that have come out in the last 24, 48 hours giving new updates, these are all going to be linked in the description below. I cite all the sources just like a book report. Put it on the screen, read right from it, so that way you know what's the latest. If you appreciate the transparency, citing the sources, keeping you up to speed, that way you can rest assured and know that this is the latest information as of today, February the 22nd, 2025 at 3:40 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you appreciate that, please take a second, hit that like button. Helps out a ton. Also, share this out. Sharing these videos out helps it spread out further across the YouTube platform and other social media platforms as well. And if this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And you might want to turn on that notification bell, because whenever there's breaking news, I'm hopping on live and getting you guys the latest information. And I see all those yeses pouring in. A lot of people saying yes, they are glad to see the Doge dividend stimulus refund checks going out. I saw a lot of people saying that they are so glad that Elon Musk is doing this. And I actually saw some video footage recently where there were some Democratic members of Congress that were bashing Elon, saying the American people don't want this. They're concerned about him cutting federal jobs, to which I believe it was Donald Trump and Elon Musk both responded and said that's laughable. The American people voted for this. They're glad to see this. They don't want to see these inefficiencies happening anymore in our federal government. They actually are saying, hey, clean things up. Let's take care of business. Let's put Americans first. Let's stop all of this wasteful spending. And again, if you agree, put a yes in the comments and drop a like button. I am seeing a no coming in here, but a lot of people are saying yes. Some people are saying no, it's a scam. Some people are saying it's going to be inflationary. We're going to be covering that in this video and the video footage. So let's go ahead and get right to it so that way you can see the latest. And let's start off with the video footage. Now, this coming out just in the past 24 hours, more updates as to what's going on. I'm also going to cover for you what Elon had to say, and also directly from the White House. I'm going to play the clip for you again as they discuss the arrivals. Now, again, more details on that in yesterday's live stream for the arrival time, the process, the timeline for what's going to unfold with these. But right now, who qualifies for these checks? Let's go ahead and play the video footage so you can see it for yourself.
Doge dividend checks that would be 20% back to taxpayers, 20% to pay down the debt. 60% is left. Who gets that?
When you achieve savings, you can either return it to taxpayers, you can return it to our debtors, or it can be cycled into next year's budget, and then it just lowers the overall baseline for next year. This is all going to be worked on through the reconciliation process with Congress that's going underway right now.
The White House breaking down how government savings will be used. Now, Doge is proposing that a percentage should go straight to Americans' pockets. And James Fishback is a Doge advisor. He came up with this idea. That escalated quickly, James. So here was Elon Musk yesterday talking to Hannity about this. Watch.
The overall goal is to try to get $1 trillion out of the deficit. And if the deficit is not brought under control, America will go bankrupt. The massive waste, fraud, and abuse that has been going on, which is leading to a $2 trillion a year deficit. That's what the president was handed on Jan 20th, a $2 trillion deficit. It's insane.
James, sorry, that was on Tuesday, not last night. But the sentiment continues. And a question based on, even on what Stephen Miller was just explaining to Peter Doocy yesterday, the $55 billion in savings that Doge has found so far, has that money then been transferred back to the Treasury, or is it still at those agencies waiting some sort of assignment from either the president or actually from Congress?
Well, it's somewhere in the ether, Dana, but I think the more important question is that where is this money going to go when we end up saving it when Doge is all said and done? President Trump is off to a smashing start. What an incredible first month. Now it's time to look at the Doge savings, as our proposal calls out, and send 20% of that right back to the hardworking Americans who sent it to D.C. in the first place, Dana. They didn't send it to Washington, D.C. for it to be spent on a rocky Sesame Street or on a transgender opera in Colombia. They sent it for our roads, our bridges, our health care, and our education. That clearly has been lacking. So guess what? Taxpayers are overdue for restitution. They need a refund, and I'm proud that President Trump supports our proposal.
So would, in your idea, and maybe it's not fully fleshed out yet, but would the dividend checks go to people, like all taxpayers, or just to people making a certain amount of money?
It's a great question. So the plan, everyone can read it at mydogedividend.com. The plan is very simple, Dana. We think Doge will save $2 trillion in total. You take 20% of that, that's $400 billion. You divide that by the number of American households that will pay federal income tax this year. That's 79 million. That gets you $5,000 to every American tax-paying household next summer. It'll have President Trump's signature on it, because without him, without his leadership, this would not be possible.
Okay, the New York Times asked this, a Doge dividend. President Trump floated giving taxpayers a piece of any savings that Elon Musk's cost-cutting generates, which could reignite inflation. And I'm no AI expert, but I just checked on Grok. I just asked a question. Would giving these checks possibly lead to more inflation? And Grok says yes. What do you say?
I say no, and here's why, Dana. The first reason is that our economy is in much better shape the last time stimulus checks were indiscriminately sent out by President Biden. We had a massive labor shortage, supply chain dislocations, and they were sent out to everybody, not just taxpayers. The second reason is that this money is coming from direct savings. So remember, for every $5 that Doge saves, $1 goes back to hardworking taxpayers. And a poll from 2019, CNBC found that 70% of Americans would use this type of check to pay down debt, which is the opposite of inflationary. It's deflationary. So this is a good policy. So it's good economics.
That's going to be my last question. Do you think that if somebody does ultimately get this check, if they have credit card debt, they should use that extra money that they found, the savings, the money they weren't expecting to get back, and pay down their own debt.
Absolutely. Just like
So then
D.C.
should
should
the
get its house
government
in
do
order.
the same?
The government should do the same, which is why this proposal calls for the rest of the money, the other 80%, to narrow the deficit, Dana, and to pay down our national debt. But American taxpayers who have worked hard, they need a break. They need restitution. The biggest part, Dana, though, is we incentivize them to report waste, fraud, and abuse, as President Trump said on Air Force One. Report waste, fraud, and abuse, Dana, because guess what? The more Doge saves, the bigger their Doge dividend check is.
Stephen Miller breaking down the expected plan to destroy.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Now, that was the CEO of Azoria, Mr. James Fishback. He is the individual that actually put this proposal together and wrote it. And you heard him say that if you want more information on the details and the specifics, to go to mydogedividend.com. And that is exactly what we're going to do. And we're going to cover all the details of this proposal that he has assembled, sent on to Elon Musk, who sent it on to the president, who then sent it on to Congress. And they're working on this as we speak. Now, in addition to that, you also heard him say that this is not going to be inflationary. Let me know, do you believe that or not? He is saying this is not new spending. This is money that's already been allocated to go out to federal agencies. We're going to be clawing it back. So therefore, it's not releasing new funds, unlike the stimulus checks, which stimulated the economy. He's saying these are actually refunds. We're getting money back that has already been dispatched. If you think that this is going to be inflationary and that it's going to speed up the circulation of money in our system, put a 1. If you think no, because this is not new funds, and he actually said it's going to be deflationary, put a 2. Let me know your thoughts, but we could see very different things unfold here depending on which one it is. 1, if you think inflation is going to happen. 2, if you think it's going to be deflation. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, like I said, let's go ahead and take a look at this, because this is going to cover all the details of what he envisioned. As he said, he saw this in a dream, and he shared it, and it has come to pass, essentially. In about 4 days, this has become a reality. So let's take a look here at the mydogedividend.com. We're going to go through this. He actually assembled this within the past week, I believe. And it says, few in America knew precisely what to expect from Doge. The early perceived turbulence around leadership, the uncertainty around legal structure, and the lack of precedence for such a bold initiative created a sense of show me with Doge. Just a month into President Trump's second term, Doge is delivering, full stop. And again, if you are glad to see this unfolding, drop a 47 and hit that like button if you agree with Mr. Fishback. Now, with Doge reportedly achieving $1 billion in savings per day, President Trump has an opportunity to work with Congress to take Doge one step further and deliver what we at Azoria call the Doge dividend, a tax refund check to send after the expiration of Doge in July of 2026, funded exclusively with a portion of the total savings delivered by Doge. Here's how President Trump's Doge dividend works. Number 1, Doge is targeting $2 trillion in total savings. Number 2, take 20% of Doge's total savings, which is $400 billion, and return it to the approximately 79 million U.S. households that will be net payers of federal income tax in fiscal year 2025 as a tax refund check called the Doge dividend. So again, this is from the creator. This is what he has written in the initial proposal. Now, we might see this modified, but at this time, there you hear him saying this is to go out to households, 79 million approximately, and it is those that are paying taxes in fiscal year 2025. So if you were not planning on paying taxes this year, you might want to reconsider if it would mean that you could get a Doge dividend of $5,000. Number 3, $400 billion in Doge-driven savings divided by 79 million tax-paying households equals $5,000 in a Doge dividend check per tax-paying household. So that is more clarification. A lot of people asking, are these going to be for individuals? Are these going to be for people with kids? Are these going to be for those on SSI, SSDI? What are the qualifications? Who gets these checks? It is tax-paying individuals, 1 per household, according to this current proposal. The benefits of President Trump's Doge dividend, which we explore in more detail below, says compensates American taxpayers for the egregious misuse and abuse of their hard-earned tax dollars that Doge has uncovered. And we have been seeing this in incredible amounts. They are saying it is unbelievable the mismanagement that is taking place from our federal government. Number 2, shares the benefits of Doge's cost saving with American taxpayers, incentivizing them to report instances of waste, fraud, and abuse to Doge, which increases the total amount of Doge savings and increases the size of the Doge dividend checks that Americans will receive. So again, that $5,000 amount, that is very flexible. That is their estimate based upon Doge achieving its goal. However, if it's less, it could be less. If by some means it was more, it essentially could be more. Number 3, President Trump's Doge dividend works to restore public trust between taxpayers and their government, making good on this social contract and increasing tax morale. Number 4, the conditional nature of the tax refund, available only to payers of federal income tax in fiscal year 2025. So there you have it, you guys. The conditional nature of this tax refund, available only to payers of federal income tax in fiscal year 2025. So you need to pay your taxes in order to get this. Incentivizes labor force participation because only net payers of federal income tax in fiscal year 2025 are eligible to receive the President Trump's Doge dividend. Now, here's the benefit. Number 1, the value of restitution, rightings the wrong done to the taxpayers. While roads and bridges in America's heartland crumbled and countless veterans were denied health care, USAID used taxpayer dollars to feed al-Qaeda affiliate fighters in Syria, finance electric vehicles in Vietnam, and fund sex changes in Guatemala. Taxation is an implied bilateral contract between taxpayers and the government. Taxpayers work hard and they pay their taxes. And in exchange, government renders services with accountability, honesty, and fairness. American taxpayers held up their end of the bargain, but as Doge has exposed, the federal government did not, effectively breaching its implied contract with 79 million tax-paying households throughout the United States. When a breach of this magnitude happens in a private sector, the counterparty, at minimum, refunds the customer since they failed to deliver what was promised. It's high time for the federal government to do the same and refund money back to taxpayers, given what Doge has uncovered. Number 2, sharing the benefits of cost-cutting with taxpayers. President Trump's Doge dividend creates a mechanism to cut the taxpayer in on the benefits of spending cuts by pre-committing to pay out a specific percentage of savings, 20%. Taxpayers now benefit directly from spending cuts. With the Doge dividend, every taxpaying American now stands to benefit from Doge. As such, they have every incentive to report every instance of government waste, fraud, and abuse that they encounter. This incentive will massively increase the surface area of Doge to find opportunities to cut costs, further driving up Doge's total savings and, in turn, the size of President Trump's Doge dividend for taxpayers. Number 3, the benefit: boost tax morale. President Trump's Doge dividend can work to increase tax receipts by boosting tax morale. Tax morale in the political science literature is a measure of taxation sentiment, whether taxpayers feel they are receiving adequate value in exchange for their tax payments. The literature has found that tax morale is directly linked to public trust in public-facing output government organizations that implement and deliver public goods to the citizenry. Now, the federal government has undermined this trust by neglecting American citizens at home and funding boondoggles in distant lands instead. President Trump has a historic opportunity to restore this trust by refunding taxpayers for breach of contract perpetuated against them. Benefit number 4, incentivizing 2025 labor force participation. Finally, President Trump's Doge dividend will work to increase labor force participation by requiring individuals to be net payers of federal income tax to be eligible to receive their Doge dividend check. As just one example, 7 million working-age men in America are neither working nor looking for work. The prospect of a $5,000 Doge dividend in 2026 will incentivize many to re-enter the labor force in 2025 in order to be eligible for the Doge dividend. Low labor force participation is throttling U.S. economic growth, and the Doge dividend will provide a powerful incentive to begin reversing this trend on the margins. So they're saying incentivizing people to go back to work. Now, question number one. Wouldn't this be inflationary? Azoria answers no for two important reasons. Number one, the Doge dividend checks are exclusively funded with Doge-driven savings, unlike COVID stimulus checks, which were deficit financed. Doge dividend checks are sent only to tax-paying households who have demonstrated a propensity to save, not spend, the incremental dollar received. The Doge dividend is different from past stimulus checks or from the American Rescue Plan, those stimulus checks, because only tax-paying households will receive this. There you have it, you guys. Only tax-paying households will receive this. Tax-paying households are more likely to save, not spend, a transfer payment like the Doge dividend, as consumption is a lower share of their income. In fact, according to a 2019 CNBC survey, 7 in 10, or 71% of Americans who unexpectedly receive a $5,000 bonus would either pay off debt, save it for short-term expenditures or emergencies, or invest in long-term goals like college or retirement. There is nothing inflationary about paying off debt, saving for emergencies, or investing in college or retirement. In fact, debt paydowns are actually deflationary. Question number two. Won't the Doge dividend increase the deficit? His answer, no, for two reasons. President Trump's Doge dividend is contingent on spending cuts. It is truly a tax refund in the most literal sense. It is financed exclusively via spending cuts. Since Azoria's plan calls for paying out 20% of the savings that Doge identifies, with the rest used to pay down the national debt, the value of spending cuts must exceed the value of President Trump's Doge dividend payouts by a factor of 5. Medium term, President Trump's Doge dividend can actually drive up tax receipts by increasing tax morale and restoring trust between taxpayers and the government. And there you have it, you guys. That is the release that actually came out from Mr. Fishback himself regarding this. Now, in addition to that, I just shared with you the video footage so you could see him actually speaking on this, saying if you wanted more information to go to mydogedividend.com, which is what we just did. And also, let's go ahead and take a look at this as we had received confirmation from Elon Musk, from Donald Trump, and now we're hearing that Congress is working on this as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video footage. This is an update coming out from the White House in the last 48 hours.
Well, so Stephen, we're hearing about these Doge dividend checks that would be 20% back to taxpayers, 20% to pay down the debt. 60% is left. Who gets that?
Well, the way that it works is when you achieve savings, you can either return it to taxpayers, you can return it to our debtors, or it can be cycled into next year's budget, and then it just lowers the overall baseline for next year. So in other words, you can just transfer into the next fiscal window and then lower the overall spending level. And that means that you can achieve a permanent savings that way, and that reduces the deficit.
And when is it that people might see those checks?
Well, this is all going to be worked on through the reconciliation process with Congress that's going underway right now. As you've seen, the Senate's moving a bill, the House is moving a bill. The president has great confidence in both chambers to deliver on his priorities. I would just take this opportunity to note that President Trump has made a historic commitment to the working class of this country to fight for major tax relief and major price relief. And cutting spending, as Doge is doing, and cutting taxes is the key to delivering on both of those promises, and President Trump is resolutely committed to doing both.
There you have it, you guys. So that was directly from the White House, and you heard him say, when can people expect to receive these checks? Now, I go into this in more detail in yesterday's live stream. Like I said, I'll pin that in the comments right after this one. But you heard him say Congress is actually working on this right now. For the reconciliation bill, they are working away. We have the Senate and the House of Representatives. So this is coming to pass. In just 4 days, we had seen this go from an idea to Elon Musk to Donald Trump to now it is in the hands of Congress, and they are working on this right away. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this. This also coming out in about the past day or so. At the CPAC convention, we're going to see here Elon Musk discussing this, and he's saying, yeah, this is on the way. The American people need this. We are tired of seeing the federal government mismanage these funds and the corruption and the fraud that is unfolding. He said the likes of which we are seeing is historic. We are about to expose some incredible things here. It's going to come to light for the American people to see, one of which he mentions is Social Security, unlike anything we have ever seen. Now, let me know your thoughts on this. Where are we going to be going here with Social Security? Because if Doge is divulging this in all these other areas, Social Security specifically, think about the clawbacks and what could happen there. Social Security, could we see a form of a Doge dividend unfold for those receiving Social Security? If you'd like to see that happen, put a 3 in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, because we're hearing that the biggest misuse, he said, historically ever, is about to come from Social Security. Drop a 3 and hit the like button. I will keep you up to date on that as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at what Elon Musk had to say.
Big threat to the bureaucracy.
That's exactly right. Let's talk about these Doge dividend checks that everybody's talking about this week. And I know you tweeted out that you're gonna. Does everybody want like a $5,000 check in the mail? It sounds kind of good, right? And the best part about it would be knowing where it came from. That's $5,000 that you sent them last year.
Totally. It's money that's taken away from things that are destructive to the country, and from organizations that hate you to you. That's awesome.
Does it seem? I mean, have you talked?
I mean, that's like
president?
glorious. That's like
It's the best.
the spoils of battle, you know.
Spoils of battle. I like that. Is there traction on that?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I talked to the president. He's supportive of that, and so it sounds like that's something we're going to do.
Yep.
So as we're finding savings, that's going to translate directly to reductions in tax. So.
Yeah. I think they fired 6,000 people at the IRS today.
Yeah.
And I think Lutnick said last night that they're talking about shutting down the IRS. And I think it's fair. I think people should realize this is, I mean, the amount of money that we send Washington like 5 or 6 trillion a year. That is such an ungodly amount of money. I mean, what do they, they say like 1 trillion seconds is like 30 years or something like that. I mean, that's how much we send them, and they seem to never have enough. There must be a lot you can cut.
No, absolutely. People ask me, what's the most surprising thing that you've encountered when you go to D.C., when you're in D.C.? And I said, well, the most surprising thing is the scale of the expenditures, and actually how easy it is to, when you add caring and competence, where it was absent before, you can actually save billions of dollars, sometimes in an hour.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild.
And then they scoff at it and say, oh, a few billion here, there. I mean, the way they're talking about it, you can see they don't care. It's such little money compared to how much they're used to wasting. That's what's really scary.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. But obviously, it just shows that they really lack empathy for the average taxpayer who's working hard, paying taxes, and then they say, oh, $1 million doesn't matter. I'm like, I think it matters a lot to people,
I mean,
So what are you talking about?
I'd like to have it. Let me ask you a question. I know the president fairly well, watched him survive 2 assassinations.
So there you have it, you guys. So that was Elon Musk at the CPAC discussing the Doge dividend checks, which we're hearing are on the way. Now, I already shared with you, we heard directly from the creator of this proposal, Mr. James Fishback, the CEO of Azoria, who put this together. Now, he said he came up with this in a dream. Now, for those of you hopping on a little bit late, again, just a quick recap for you. We are hearing that these are going to be, they're estimating $5,000 Doge checks. Trump has backed the idea. Will you be getting a $5,000 Doge check? I let you know who is going to be receiving this. We're hearing taxpayers, you need to file your taxes. If you were thinking not filing, you might want to reconsider, because they're saying those that are filing are going to receive it. Doge stimulus check creator came up with this in a dream. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this very quickly. Just want to give you some more updates on this. I think this is very fascinating. It says the concept of distributing stimulus checks from government savings might sound like a vision from a dream. And for James Fishback, the 30-year-old investment firm CEO behind the Doge dividend proposal, that's exactly what it is. Mr. Fishback told Newsweek that the idea for a stimulus check funded by the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge savings, emerged during his sleep. It came to me in a dream, he said. I woke up and I called our head of research at Azoria, and we drafted the proposal during a 2-hour lunch at Capitol Grill. Now, here's why it matters. The stimulus check proposal seeks to leverage efficiencies identified by Elon Musk's Doge. In theory, the proposal would return a portion of the savings, estimated at $5,000 per tax-paying household, to American citizens. Now, here's what to know. Mr. Fishback, the CEO of investment firm Azoria, envisioned the Doge dividend as a dual-purpose tool that compensates taxpayers for government waste, but also encourages public reporting of inefficiencies, potentially increasing federal savings and a resultant dividend. Now, the plan proposes using 20% of the Doge total savings to fund these payments, which, according to Fishback's proposal documents, would restore public trust between taxpayers and their government. Doge purports to have saved an estimated $55 billion so far, though this number has been hotly debated. Reporting from ABC News and Bloomberg, they have confirmed only about $8.6 billion in actual savings to date. Now, while Musk and President Donald Trump have shown interest, with Trump saying at a summit on Wednesday that the idea was under consideration, the Doge check proposal has not been universally welcomed. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson voiced concern on Thursday about fiscal prudence, given the U.S.'s $36 trillion federal debt. Politically, that would be great for us. You know, you can send everybody a check, Johnson said at the Conservative Political Action Conference. But if you think about our core principles, right? Fiscal responsibility is what we do as conservatives. That's our brand. So there you have Speaker of the House Mike Johnson vocalizing, not necessarily sure if he's on board because fiscal responsibility. Yet at the same time, keep in consideration, they're not giving all the money back to the American taxpayers, just 20%. They're saying as a, hey, this is a check in good faith to let you know we are sorry for the mismanagement of the federal funds. And 80%, they're saying, would still go towards the debt, or excuse me, I think it's 60%. They did a breakdown of it, but only 20%. Now, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that we should get those checks? If so, put yes. If you think no, this should all go towards the debt, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But as you see here, not everybody necessarily on board with these checks. Now, what people are saying, James Fishback, the CEO of investment firm Azoria and the creator of the Doge dividend proposal, he told Newsweek, we wanted to develop a framework for the president to, number one, compensate taxpayers for the egregious waste, fraud, and abuse of their money that Doge has covered. Number two, incentivize them to report waste, fraud, and abuse in their communities so Doge can save even more. As a result, deliver an even bigger Doge dividend check to hard-working Americans. Now, Elon Musk said at the Conservative Political Action Conference on Thursday, which we just watched, it's money that's taken away from things that are destructive to the country and from organizations that hate you, to you. That's awesome. It's the spoils of battle. I talked to the president, and he's supportive of that. It sounds like, you know, that's something that we're going to do. Now, Republican Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said at the CPAC on Thursday, we have a $36 trillion federal debt. We have a giant deficit that we're contending with. I think we need to pay down the credit card, right? That's what I think we need to do. Now, Kimberly Clausing, economist and professor at UCLA School of Law, previously told Newsweek, right now this dividend is pure fantasy, as they've shown very little in the way of concrete budget savings. While their government layoffs will cause a lot of mayhem in terms of the provisions of government services in the areas like forest management, public safety, and tax filings, they will not make an important dent in the budget deficit for the simple reason that personnel costs are a tiny fraction of the U.S. federal budget. So you have those skeptics as well. Now, what's going to be happening next here? As the debate heats up, the Doge dividend stands at a crossroads. Given that plan requires congressional approval, its future remains uncertain. But as you heard directly from the White House, as I shared with you in the video footage, we are hearing that Congress is actually working on this right now. As we heard from the White House representative, the House of Representatives and the Senate both are working on bills. They're planning on including this in the reconciliation bill. And within 4 days, we have gone from hearing nothing about stimulus checks to hearing there is a stimulus refund check, they're calling it, a Doge dividend check, essentially $5,000 per tax-paying household that could be going out to the American citizens, to America, as a result of Doge clawing back mismanaged funds and saying, hey, we're sorry for the mismanagement of the federal government, for the taxpayer dollars that are being misused. We're going to send it back to you in the form of a check. 20% of everything we claw back for every $5, we're going to send back $1. And we're hearing this is happening. This is coming to fruition. So, like I said, you guys, I will keep you up to date every step of the way as more information comes out. It seems like every single day for the past 4 days, roughly, I've been giving you new information as it's coming out. As now we're hearing details. We actually have the proposal. We're hearing Congress is working on this. We have arrival times coming out. And for more details on that, like I said, I'm going to pin in the comments yesterday's live stream as I covered for you all the details coming out regarding that as well. So, that is the latest, you guys. I will continue to keep you up to speed here on the channel. Also, if you want to stay up to date off of social media platforms, don't forget to join the newsletter at www.steveramnews.com. Steve Ram, that's my name, news.com. Also, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. Take care. God bless. Have a great weekend. This is Steve.